Alright everyone, a very happy Tuesday to you. Great to have you with us, and just in general great to have you with us over the course of the summer. I know Celtic aren't playing matches at the moment, but the numbers on the channel are really holding up, so I appreciate you even more than normal sticking with the channel, sticking with my videos. Well, there aren't necessarily any Celtic games on the horizon. I'm going to keep going throughout the summer, so you don't need to take a break, hibernate, I don't know. And after your feedback to yesterday's video, definitely going to do a few videos in Germany. I was going to take that period off, but even if I was to do, I don't know, 2 or 3 videos outside famous German landmarks, then that could be kind of fun. Maybe me eating a big wurst. Yeah. How are things today? I don't know why I'm asking you. I'm not going to get an answer. I did have a number of you. I think, hang on, 417 of you in the comments yesterday telling me that, yes, of course, Joe Hart didn't actually come up with the lyrics for that Don't Worry Be Happy song that we played on yesterday's video. It was, in fact, Shay Doolan. So a big apologies to Shay for not giving him the credit there. I genuinely thought Joe Hart had been sitting at home thinking about those lyrics. I guess the fact he knew them though and had come across this version of the song is interesting in its own way. Is that one that's been played in the Celtic changing room? Perhaps.
Here's a little song I wrote for the team who follow down every road. Don't worry, be happy. Famous team in green and white that I'll be following all my life. Don't worry, be happy.
I still maintain that the Green Brigade should get those lyrics in the stands for next season. That would be priority 2. Priority 1 is very clearly Dido. Okay, going to do another roundup today. We'll just keep the daily roundups coming while there's enough to talk about, and when we come to the day when there's not enough, I'll go into some other topic. In fact, maybe later this week we'll mix things up a little, but there are still a few transfer stories happening now. There has been a bit of an update on Paulo Bernardo, and I'm well aware that we've had 417 updates on Paulo Bernardo on the channel in the past fortnight. But there has been one last night. The Daily Record's Scott Burns says we are confident we are close to striking a deal to sign Bernardo permanently. Now, the original fee that had been mooted to turn Bernardo's loan into a permanent deal was just over 6 million. I think it might be £6.4 million. However, Celtic are said to be trying to bring that fee down, with talks said to be progressing well. It is also said, a lot of things been said here, that we're willing to give Benfica more in terms of add-ons as well as a higher sell-on fee. Benfica, it seems, are pretty big on the kind of percentage sell-on fee in terms of the players that they let go. They got around 30%, I believe, of the money we got when Jota moved to Al Ittihad in Saudi Arabia. I think they had around about a 30% sell-on fee for that. They got something like £7 million. It's been reported. I think that was actually reported by Benfica themselves. And Aberdeen's forward Duke revealed about a year ago that Benfica actually hold 50% of any fee that Aberdeen are to get for him. So it's clear they're big on that, and I expect that to be a big part of any deal that we're able to conclude for Bernardo. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, like, that's not a bad thing. I didn't hear too many people moaning about that when we eventually sold Jota to Al Ittihad, because we'd got our enjoyment out of Jota and we were paid quite well for him as well. I think even when you factor in the money we paid Benfica for Jota, we made something like a £13 million profit if we were to do anything like that with Bernardo as well and get another couple of good seasons out of him, and he was to, attract interest from one of the leading clubs in Europe, it would mean that he'd done very well at Celtic, and I think we'd all be happy about that. So I'm not bothered about that. I think if the club are able to get the transfer fee down, that's obviously good news. Personally, I'm not someone who gets hung up on that, really. If it's 6.4 million that we have to pay for Bernardo and Brendan Rodgers wants him in, then I'm more than happy to pay that. As I've said again a number of times in recent weeks, I think there's a real potential in Bernardo, and I think he'll actually produce much more for us next season than he did there. And I think he showed in the big moments in the season that's just passed that he has the ability to stand up for the club when it really matters. So I'm for this deal, and it seems like that's the way things are heading. Believe Jota was announced on the 1st of July. So maybe there's still a few weeks for us to wait for Bernardo to be a Celtic player for good, but you never know, something maybe in the offing sooner than that. It's clear that he wants to return to Celtic. It's also very clear that he's focused on trying to get a move through. Visiting, Hannah Montana's house in Malibu, California yesterday. Who wrote this? Anyway, so that's the latest on Paulo Bernardo. There's also been a report from the Express linking us with Lausanne Sport midfielder Alvyn and the Chipmunks Sanches. I added the Chipmunks in there. That was a bit of patter for you. He's a 21-year-old Swiss youth international midfielder who's had a breakout season for Lausanne. Express Sport say we sent scouts to assess Sanches at various points last season, and we retain an interest in him this summer. He's said to have a £4.3 million asking price, with European giants such as Stoke City and Coventry City interested in him, as well as unnamed teams from the likes of Germany, France and the Netherlands. Not totally clear whether Sanches would be viewed as like a backup option if we weren't to sign Bernardo. So if we do sign Bernardo, is like that deal just completely, dead in the water? Is he perhaps a replacement for Matt O'Reilly? I've even seen a few people kind of comparing his style of play to Reo Hatate. So I think Alvyn Sanches is someone, or it's a name to keep on your mind to some extent, because it may be someone we look at. He seems to be pretty highly rated, one of the kind of more highly rated players currently playing in Switzerland, and Celtic have scouted him last season, so there's interest there, credible, genuine interest there. But as I say, we don't know where he kind of sits on the priorities. I guess Celtic will scout hundreds and hundreds of players every single season, and if we were to bring up every single one of them, would be doing 5-hour-long videos every day, and none of you want to hear me rabbiting on for that amount of time. A few people asking, not really, but let's just say you are, when the transfer window actually opens. June the 14th is the answer. It will close on September the 2nd, so it's fair to say we've got a long old summer ahead of us, but it's going to be very, very exciting, I can promise you that. In international news, Bosun Lawal has been called up to the senior Republic of Ireland squad. He joins Liam Scales, Adam Ida and Mikey Johnson in there. Lawal has been out on loan at Fleetwood last season, seems to have done pretty well there, although they were relegated. It'll be interesting to see how he is rated by Rodgers next season. Is he genuinely someone who could become a first team Celtic centre-back, or at least someone who's, on the fringes of that and maybe like a third or fourth option, a backup player? Or is he just not going to be given that opportunity under Brendan Rodgers at Celtic? He's certainly got a fair amount of bodies ahead of him in theory, although I expect Gustav Lagerbielke, Yuki Kobayashi to be moved on. I'm really not sure Brendan Rodgers fancies Mike Naropski either. We'll quite possibly sign another centre-back. I think, I feel like we should be signing a centre-back. A lot of you will probably feel like that as well. So, and it's not a position that Rodgers tends to rotate, and I don't think there'll be as much uncertainty and upheaval in that position this coming season, given that hopefully, touch wood, Cameron Carter-Vickers, it's not even wood, Cameron Carter-Vickers is going to be fit throughout the season. And it will really just, if that is the case, it will really be just about finding a partner for him who can create that relationship like he had with Carol Starfelt over those 2 seasons. I think that's one of the big tasks for Celtic, and I think we'll see a big improvement in the defence generally over the season. Now, Liam Scales could be that man, Mike Naropsky could be that man, it might be someone else. Tough one with Lawal. He seems to have done quite well. He's been playing midfield as well, hasn't he? Oh, now that changes things. Yeah, I just remembered that. He's been playing in midfield for Fleetwood Town, hasn't he? Now, I could edit the last 5 minutes out about me talking about his centre-back stuff, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be honest and show you how clueless I am about things. If he's midfield, I guess that changes things slightly. Although, again, it'll be a more defensive role, won't it? Callum McGregor's there. It's going to be difficult for him. I'm assuming he can kind of play both. Again, it'll be interesting to see where he fits in under Rodgers. Cameron Carter-Vickers, as I say, is clearly someone we're going to hope to have right from the start of next season. As I say, I think that will make a big difference. He's also away on international duty at the moment with the US team. They're preparing for Copa America, which is actually on home soil, so it's a pretty big tournament for him and the US team. I believe that begins just over a week after the start of Euro 2024, so I think it's maybe a couple of weeks away from the start of Copa America. First match of that actually is Alistair Johnson's Canada against Lionel Messi's Argentina, so that's going to be one to keep an eye on. Anyway, Carter-Vickers saying good things about Brendan Rodgers in a interview he gave with the whole delivery just overnight. I've really enjoyed working with Brendan this year. One thing he's done really well throughout the season is keeping us as a group calm and confident. In Glasgow, there's a lot of talk and it's easy to get sucked into being negative or maybe lose your head a bit. But one thing he's done really well is keeping calmness to the group. Now, I think that's something that's become very clear in recent weeks about the season that's just passed. I think when Celtic went through their difficult periods, and maybe people like me and maybe people like you were running about with our hair on fire, it's clear that Rodgers was very calm and composed and very confident that things would work themselves out in a positive way if the team continued to work hard and do the right things. Carter-Vickers spoken about that. I think Callum McGregor has spoken about that. Rodgers himself has spoken about the importance of, what did he say, sticking to your storyline or controlling your own narrative, or whatever phrase he used. It's very clear that when there was so much been said about this Celtic team and so much negativity, Rodgers very much shielded the team from that. And I think took a lot of it on himself, which is what a good manager does. And I just think, you might be looking at, why is that relevant anymore? Like, we've already kind of moved on from last season, as much as we're delighted in that. I think a lot of people are looking forward. I think this is very important looking to next season, because when that adversity arrives again for this Celtic squad, and it inevitably will in some shape or form next season, they've got that belief and they've got that hard evidence from last season of how you get through tricky periods when you lose 2 games in a row to Kilmarnock and Hearts, or you go drop points in daft games at home to teams like Kilmarnock. No disrespect. I think the team know that it's a long season and these results are going to happen, but it's just about not letting them escalate and kind of getting back on track as quickly as possible. So I think that's going to be important next season. Been thinking a lot about next season already, and the league specifically. And can Celtic kind of carry on the way we finished the league campaign there. We finished the league campaign with an incredible consistency when you think about it. I can't remember exactly how many wins, but from that Hearts defeat at Tynecastle, we won every game in the league apart from at Ibrox, which was, a positive 3-3 draw. Can we continue that next season and have like one of those really brilliant, consistent seasons where we hit close to 100 points? And I think that's a big question, and I kind of have my doubts about that. I think this Celtic team under Rodgers will continue probably to throw away daft points here or there. That's kind of been what it's been like under Rodgers, apart from the Invincible season. But I think when it really comes to it, the crunch, I think this Celtic team will stand up and get where they need to be. So I think we're big favourites for the league next year, but there's obviously going to be a fair bit of upheaval, at a number of clubs before kick-off. And it's just about concentrating on ourselves, I guess, and blocking out the noise. And now we just need a wee signing, Celtic. Come on, that would be lovely. I'll be back tomorrow.